Three Guys Mini Games. College lacrosse is back. We are here. I'm Steve Sombrato. We're back. I'm here with the GOAT, Vinny Sombrato, and we're missing our third guy. Where's our third guy, Vin?
You know him. He's a prima donna. He's. I think he's coming late because he wants to renegotiate his contract.
Oh, he's holding out. He's
He's
holding
holding
out.
out. He's
Okay.
holding out.
Well,
He
that's
might have fell. He might have fell asleep. We sent him plenty of messages and told him come. You know him. He likes jumping in the middle anyway. So
right.
right
Exactly.
now we're two guys, many games for now.
Well,
He'll
let's
come
start.
popping in.
Let's start with last week we had an interesting trip down to Florida. Maybe a lot of people, I think they saw maybe on Instagram a couple of the videos, but originally Smalley was not coming, and FOMO set in quickly on the morning that we were leaving.
Yeah, it was the greatest ever. I all week I'm telling him we got a flight out of Kennedy on Wednesday. I told him the time. He was, hemming and hawing about coming. But like you said, his fear of missing out gets the best of him. So I called him that morning as I'm driving to your house to pick you up. I told you I pick you up at 10:30. The ride to the airport, parking the car, long-term parking, us getting to JetBlue. You know, so I'm in front of your house and I have him on the phone and I said, well, we're going to miss you down there. The boys were asking for you in Placid. You missed Placid and then, now you're going to miss Florida. So he says, do you think I could still pull it off? I said, well, there were tickets. There were still seats available on the plane. So he says, I'm leaving right now. So I said, you're leaving what? He said, I'm leaving my house. I'm calling an Uber and I'm coming. I said, well, what are you bringing? Well, you got to pack. He says, no, I'm coming in my pajamas. The guy was still in his pajamas.
So when we were heading to JFK, I was thinking at the time, I said, well, he sounded like he really wanted to come. And I was thinking maybe if he gets a flight, to get a flight, the following day, and maybe we'll have to go back to the airport and go pick him up. He definitely sounded like he wanted to go. So by the
Right.
time we got to JFK and, we went into the long-term parking, and then you go on the air tram, and then from the air tram you're walking through those corridors for JetBlue, which is kind of a walk. You get down, we did the tickets and put the bags on, and we head over to the security line, and lo and behold, who's ahead of us? He's actually ahead of us
I
somehow.
spot him. He's in his bottoms pajamas. I don't know what he had on his feet. And he's got like a Hofstra, a North Face hoodie, or I don't know, like a puffer jacket. And that's it. And he's got a little bag he's holding in his hand. So we're laughing because he somehow gets there before us. He lives on the South Shore. He's a little closer. But he must have just got right in the car and went.
I
So
mean, that was
we get through
unbelievable.
security. We see him. We're laughing hysterical that he's coming. And then, of course, the rest of it, Steven did post some things on Instagram and all showing, first day there, we had to go to Walmart, buy him some clay, had to buy some socks, underwear.
I mean, that's literally like out of a movie where the guy escapes from prison and has
Yeah,
to
no,
pull the t-shirts. And he actually had those kinds of t-shirts too, like the
yeah,
crazy shirts that you
yeah,
get
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
$5 that are on the
Well, he's
rack.
definitely no frills, and he can definitely roll with the punches. You got to say that. And so that was fun. So we got there on Wednesday. The first game wasn't until what, Friday were our first games?
Friday, yep.
So Wednesday when did we go to the field? Thursday. So Thursday we went down to the field. We fooled around. We threw it around a little bit. And then, of course, Smalley was going to teach me how to play. He was going to tell me how to do things better and how to open up my hips. And he was showing me how you got to play defense. And, of course, there was some guys there. I think they were major leaguers, actually. There was a guy who was about a 6'7" Dominican pitching at the field.
Oh my God,
And
those guys
another
were
guy.
amazing.
Yeah, they were
And
like,
how about that? And how about the fact, Smalley's talking up every person, at the field, and he grabs this one kid who was thrown around with the baseball guys, and he's talking him up, and he's saying, "What's your name?" And the guy tells him his name, and he says, "Where are you from?" He's like, "New York." He's like, "Oh, what part of New York? He's like,
Yeah.
Port Washington.
He actually lived in our town. And so, you couldn't make, what are the odds? We just show up at this field in Weston, Florida, and a kid comes out there and we start to talk to him, and he grew up in Port Washington. So
That
that was
was
him too.
insane.
Smalley could talk to a dead man. So anybody who came to the park, we're talking to. And so that was and then of course we went to the place we always go, Big Daddy's, which there's a former Long Islander who's the manager.
Flanagan's.
Flanagan. Well, it used to be Big Dad Flanagan's. Flanagan's. And there was a line out the door. But our boy Jimmy, who grew up in Merrick, Long Island, went to
Jimmy, oh
Calhoun
man,
High
shout
School.
out to Jimmy.
We give him a shout out to Jimmy. He always takes care. He spotted us. He said, "Come this way." Gave us our same table 3 years in a row. Sat down immediately. I felt a little bad. We jumped about 50 people, but I didn't feel that bad. I didn't want to wait. We were hungry.
Right, exactly.
But he sat us down. We had a nice meal. And then, we had another day in between. Like I said, that was like the first night. Thursday night, we had a great dinner at Gallagher's Steakhouse in Boca Raton. And that was an all-star cast. We had Stephen and I with, of course, Smalley and his brother, Mr. G. You want to talk about a character. When they're together, there's a lot of, that's like an explosion going off. So Mr. G was there. And Bob Betcher.
There were some conspiracies flying that night.
Yeah, and he's a conspiracy theorist, Mr. G. So he was talking, he got a hold of Betcher. And then we had the legendary Chris Kane, 2-time Schmeisser Cup winner, defenseman of the year at Cornell, 41 straight games, captain, the whole bit, captain USA Team 82, Hall of Famer, terrific.
Brought us the book. What's the book? We got to give a shout out to the book.
She gave me a copy of the book. We showed Baltimore, which I'm about halfway through. It was very interesting. Whoever the guy who Swayze who wrote it, he did a great job. He only had one mishap in there. He said Chris was from Schreiber High School in Port Jefferson. It's actually Port Washington. Yeah. So I said to Chris, we got to get a reprint. But the book is really, I would recommend it to guys who want to really see a history of lacrosse. And I'm old enough to remember a lot of these guys when the thing went to a tournament back in 71 and all of that. And I remember those great players. But I'm not old enough to remember a lot of those prior to that, those
like
players from down Hopkins and those great Navy teams and Army. And, it really was, you talk about the era that it was. A lot of these guys that played on Army and Navy, they're playing lacrosse 1 minute, next minute they're in Vietnam. And
right.
there was a number of guys killed in action, and I didn't realize how many. There was a bunch, and it talks about them in the book. And so I really found it. I only got to the part, when Richie Moran, they finally did play the game in a tournament format, 71, and Cornell won. The year before in 70, they gave it to, they called it like a 4-way tie.
Right.
Because there were 4 teams with 1 loss. Cornell was undefeated.
Well, I didn't realize, because Chris was saying it that night at dinner, how Richie really was maybe the main driving force of pushing for what is now.
Yeah. Well, in the book, I think Richie wanted that, but I think it was heading that way anyway when you read the book.
Well, apparently he had teams that maybe should have won.
I think that undefeated team not getting a share of the championship definitely, put the nail in the coffin to have it as a tournament.
Right.
So.
And it is great. And it is great that they came out swinging in the first one and take it down. That's
to come out and win the first one. That said a lot about, lacrosse in the North. And then I was reading about the different coaches prior to Richie, the guy who was the ice hockey coach, legendary coach up there, and, different assistants. And there was a tragedy with the Cornell team. They went to scout a team that had a plane crash. 2 coaches got killed in that. I mean, quite a history there that I was reading about all the stuff. Then they talk about how, Richie got Mike French and that famous attack of French, McEnany, and John Levine, and they won that national championship, beating Battle of the Undefeateds, them in Maryland with the great Frank Urso, amongst a lot of other great Maryland players on that team. And they won in overtime. And that kind of established lacrosse. It kind of put lacrosse more on the radar of the average sports fan, because I remember I was a senior in high school that year, and I played in like an all-star game, and we raced home because the game was like live on Channel 7. And
It was on ABC, I think,
yeah,
right?
Frank Gifford was doing the game, and I think it was played at Brown. And you got two undefeateds and the whole bit, so it was very exciting going into overtime and all.
And the overtime at that time wasn't a sudden death. It was
No
like they
sudden
played a
death,
full
right?
period, right?
Right. It was two periods, so it was that was exciting knowing, and ultimately for me playing with a lot of the guys that played on that team, and Chris Kane, of course, grew up around the corner from each other. But yeah, that kicked it off, and then they talk about that next group of guys, Richie, when Eamon and French graduated. Then all of, he had it rolling at that point in his recruiting. Richie was smart. He had a pretty good pipeline from Nassau Community College. He already had Hondo there. He had Chris Kane there. He had some mainstays on the team, Tommy Marino and Steve Page. And I think then, you supplemented that with those guys who came from Nassau, one of the best being Craig Jager, who was great. They just had so many good players. But, as they were all very good players, but that system was really his system. Richie, knowing Richie the way I did, he loved basketball. And, back in his days when he was back in Nassau, he coached basketball at Elmont. We talked about he took an Elmont team that went like 2-16 and got them to like the county finals in like a year or two. So he was a good architect, and he always he's a phenomenal coach. He knew how to get the best out of guys. But anybody, if you can pick up that book, I would recommend it. I think as a
And
lacrosse fan, you'd enjoy it.
what we're gonna do is I'll put a story in the Instagram, and we'll put a link. We'll find what the link is on Amazon where they
Yeah.
can get it, and we'll put the link out there, because yes, it's a must read for any lacrosse fan for sure. So we'll get a link up there, and that's a great segue to obviously college lacrosse starting, and you talk about the great Cornell teams, the legendary teams that won the championships, from the early '70s, then obviously those last 2 years where Chris was on the team in '77, from
78.
'76 and '77, right? That was '77 was the last
No,
championship
yeah,
team
no,
for Cornell.
78. That's when their win
Lost
streak
the
was
Hop.
broken. Yeah, Hopkins beat them, broke
So
their 41-game win
77
streak.
was that last year, and that rabid fan base of Cornell, that they're dying for another title
Yeah,
run.
I mean,
They got close a few times, most
when you think about it, you could go down a list of guys. I mean, it just shows you how difficult it is to win it. People maybe take it for granted, and it may be the same kind of handful of teams that are really, really in the hunt. Teams have broken through when Denver broke through, and then Loyola came in and won. Duke won their first one. Notre Dame finally broke through. Those kinds of teams. But for a team, and then of course Princeton, what Tierney did, but Cornell, who was the dominant team in the Ivies for that period, when Richie was coaching, to think that the last time they won was that back then, that they haven't been able. They got back.
he got back to two. Richie lost two.
Yeah, I think they got two. They were in two more championship games where they lost. But you think about the play, with Max Seabold and
Yeah,
Pinnell,
those years.
and you could go down a list of phenomenal players who were
They were
great.
they were 3 seconds away.
Yeah,
That
but
one
that's why
year.
I'm saying nothing's guaranteed. So that's why you talk about what's going on with the.
But now they've got a team. They've got the best player in the country. They've got an unbelievable attack. Oh, our friend Tim Goldstein, Rai's out there for his second year, and Long, who's an established, solid player. I mean, you could argue that they have the best attack in the country, and they're solid in a lot of places. I mean, this is a year that, I mean, they have them ranked up at number 2, and this is a team. I mean, certainly the Big Reds got to be really excited about what's to come this season for sure.
Yeah, no, I spoke to Timmy Goldstein today. They are, they're trying to put the pieces together. But you have to stay healthy. There's a lot of things that go into that. Maryland had a great run last year. Tillman did an amazing job of squeezing every bit of juice out of that orange.
Right.
He did a phenomenal job, getting them back there.
And he reloads. John reloads. He brings in other guys. Maybe the biggest piece that I think, we haven't talked when we were with Clark. We didn't talk that deeply about Maryland. But one of the things I think Maryland from last year that it'll be interesting to see how they reload is Weirman was a really, really big part of their team.
Guy was great.
I mean, how many times does he stunt momentum of another team? Or if they're down, he strikes a comeback where he could actually be offensive and make goals. And, he was a major part of what they did last year. Yeah, so how do they replace him? That's not going to be so easy.
We're going to find out. They might have to do it more than one guy. We'll see if somebody can rise to the occasion.
The other thing I'm looking for them is I think that goalie, I think he's a very, very good goalie. Last year, I think he played well. I don't think he played to his best level because he's coming off of that knee injury. I'm hoping, that he plays back to his top level because he's a tremendous goalie, and that'll really help Maryland in terms of putting them in those. I mean, I looked at Maryland's schedule. It's insane, actually.
No, they're not ducking anybody. That's for sure. But, look, we're talking about this year, not to look forward, but, he picked up 2 very key guys for the year after. He's going to play at Yale this year, and they'll be with him the next year.
Right.
So who knows? Those things.
No, he's great. Listen to this.
He'll eventually, reload and stop.
Listen to this schedule. Tell me where there's at least all right, we get a good, drubbing in there, trunk slammer.
Yeah.
Richmond, Loyola, Syracuse, Princeton, Notre Dame, Delaware, Virginia, Michigan, Penn State, Rutgers, Ohio State, Hopkins, and Hopkins.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a gauntlet. So, they're going to be battle tested. So if they can survive that and get themselves into playoff position, they will be battle tested, and who knows what they can do.
They are. You got to give them.
We talked a little bit on the last podcast about teams, that we thought. But going back to the Cornell team, they definitely are hungry, to get back to the dance and play in a final and win one. And I think this is cursed last go round, right? I think this is cursed.
Yep.
It's the NCAA. I read all these things.
You're coming back.
They want to give guys 5 years. I got.
You want to go to Cornell? Cornell? You get 2 years. You get 2 more years.
2 years, but yeah, who knows? If they can stay healthy, they got some horses. They got a stable of face-off guys. They got 2 good goalies, according to Timmy. The attack is top notch. The midfield, they had some real athletes at short stick D last year. I remember that are back. So
let me ask you this: if I was to say to you, we could go through a little of what they have as the top 10, but I'll ask you, if I was to say to you, pick your final 4, who do you think is going to be there in your final 4?
I think Notre Dame is there. I thought we did this last week. Did we do it last week?
No,
I thought we talked about it. No?
We might have talked about it, but not on.
Well, I think Notre Dame is going to get back. I think they got such tremendous depth, I thought not only did he win it last year, I thought he was smart at the end of the year. He gave guys minutes that didn't have as many minutes during the season, it seemed. He almost saved them for the playoffs.
They're a juggernaut.
And they're going to be tough. They look very tough defensively. Obviously, Entenmann's gone, so it's a little different. We'll see what the
looks like. Question of talking about Notre Dame with Chris Kavanaugh, I guess that question's answered. He had a scrimmage where he had a goal and 8 or 9 assists.
No, listen, he'll fill the role.
Yeah.
He'll know what to do. They're deep. So I think so. That's one for me. Two for me. I'm trying to think out of which. I think one, I think one of those Ivy League teams is going to get there. I don't know if it's going to be Cornell. Penn's pretty tough. They got an excellent, the back lines. The goalies, they got him forecasted as first team All American,
Yeah,
and
he's
they got
good.
one of the best defensemen in the
He's
country.
good.
So those, when you got that, they're solid there. They score by committee. They're all pretty good. They shoot well. You got some fast guys. They can challenge, I think, in the Ivies. Princeton, I think, is going to be very good.
Tax, very good.
We talked about Cornell. Can the other Ivies, Harvard? I think Jerry, he took another step last year. Jerry.
You think, but he's not. When I'm saying Final Four, do you see
No,
Harvard?
not for Final Four. I'm just
So I'm
trying to
saying
think
for
out
Final
of that
Four.
conference.
So who are you saying?
I'm going to give the nod. I'm going to say I'm being a little cheap here, but I would say either Princeton or Cornell get to the Final Four. You
All
know,
right.
I think Yale is good, but I just think they're going to be a little bit step behind those two teams as of right now. So I haven't seen them, so just forecasting. Then I'm trying to think of Hopkins. They were good last year at a lot of time. That Big Ten is tough
And
between
they
Maryland,
picked up a couple
Hopkins.
of Yale
Penn
guys.
State played better than Penn State was tough. And then I think Michigan is like now these guys, Aiden Mulholland there leading from the midfield.
My
He's the
God.
captain. Oh man, Aiden. They're going to be tough. I saw them in the fall, and they look good. Army was very close. Coming out of Patriot League, Army was
Right.
close to getting there. They
What
look
about
good.
Denver? What about Denver? Who got there?
Denver, I think Denver's, in just my opinion, I think Denver might take a little step back. I think losing the guy JJ Silstrop, is that his name? That midi, and some of those guys that were mainstays for them. They got some guys, Malowski's son, the
Yeah,
Tackman, and
he's young.
they, and I think Brown's a great coach.
Yeah, he's
You
a
know,
great coach.
so I mean, look, we think we know about this game, but as much as we think we know, we don't know anything.
No,
How
well,
these kids
it's
play.
not that.
You know,
It's that these games come down to very, very small margins now
yeah,
with the top teams. That's the
yeah.
bottom line. It's the very slimmest of margins in any, like I was saying, I played more than 90s and you were late 70s and 80s.
Hmm.
In my time, number 2 couldn't lose to number 11. It wouldn't happen. That was a blowout. Like it would be very hard to break. Now, instead of 2 and 3 dominant teams, you really have like 10 dominant teams, maybe 8
Yeah,
to
no,
10. And then everybody else trying to push to see if they can get into that thing. So it's expanded in that sense. They're still very strong. The strong is been stronger, but
yeah.
the game has equalized in the sense that the margins of those top teams become very, very tight.
Well, then you could talk about. I like what I saw from Carolina at the end of last year. That game they beat Duke down at Carolina. That's what they needed to bottle up. If they could have played like that all season,
Right.
then of course they had Duffy injured. He'll be back strong. Dominic Petro on that side. They got some good kids. I think you gotta be careful of UNC. And then of course, big things is expected of Syracuse. I think the Cuse may make their return to the Final Four this year. I mean, they got the pieces. The only thing somebody said to me, they said, they got so many highly skilled players, but they felt like at the mid, they don't have like, they're not physical dodging guys, big guys who could really, they got a lot of, they're skilled.
I don't know. That guy English is pretty shifty. He goes by
Yeah, no,
people
I'm
pretty
saying
good.
he should, but they're not, they don't have like those, you looked at a couple times when those guys on Notre Dame came out there,
Well,
those guys.
Leo is a big
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, he's not compared to, last year at the end of the season when the kid from Chaminade, they started playing him more, Notre Dame.
Right.
Riley Gray. That kid's
Right.
like 5, he's a
Right.
monster.
Right. Right.
The other midi they had who went into the
Exactly.
pro league, that kid was 6'3" and so I'm
Right.
talking about big guys,
Yeah.
when. But you can get it done. We've seen where, if you're slick and you know how to do it, but you know, the physical aspect of the game, we're going to see if it can hold up for them. I mean, because
What do you?
they got skills and they got sharpshooters. I think that goalie's gone, right? Will Mark or something, isn't he gone?
Yeah, he's out. They got two guys. The kid from Farmingdale.
Yeah,
That's
Ippolito,
yeah.
he's fighting for the spot. He's a good goalie. So we'll see how they go.
You didn't mention as far as ACC teams in terms of potentially reloading is the time after Brennan O'Neill Duke like
No, I think Duke, well, I read an article. I think, you had that attack from last year. I think that McAdory bounced kind of back and forth, but the three guys they had, was it Zawada was there, right?
right, he's out.
You had Zawada, you had O'Neill, and you had Dyson Williams.
Yeah, so they're
And
all
I
out.
forget the number, but it was like it was over 200 points between the three of them.
Right.
That's a lot of points you're
Well, now
replacing.
they'll have the kid from Maryland who's a shifty kid and a
Yeah.
scorer, Malava.
Maleva,
Yeah,
Maleva,
and
yeah.
they have a
So
freshman that's coming in.
I don't know where they'll use McAdory. We'll see. They might swing him again,
Right,
back and
right,
forth. He has his moments where, he's a game changer wherever he is.
right.
But no, you could never count out Duke. They get enough five-star recruits that, they'll coach them up. They had some big boys, though, a couple of those middies that were big, strong guys who were only freshmen last year. We'll see if their development can lead to something.
And what about Mike Warney's?
Well, Georgetown, don't sleep on those Big East teams. I think
Right.
Denver seems,
Yeah,
we always think, but I think Georgetown, you know, they got something going there. They seem to be their calling card. Like I always think of Georgetown, and maybe because of Brody Merrill, like I always think of defense for that team.
right,
Like they're good on D. But the
right.
truth is, they got scoring. They really
Yeah,
do have scoring.
and look, Kevin Warren's a defensive type coach,
Yeah.
but they've got some weapons there too.
No, they're going to be tough. So going back to what I said before, obviously, you know, the keys to me to being successful and getting to the Final Four are going to be number one, stay healthy. You got to start with that because if you lose any key guys, it's tough. Makes it that much tougher. Then that mix of like older, younger guys, people playing their roles is going to help. I think you got to get good goaltending, and you got to hold your own at the face-off X. Because if you could get beat up at the face-off X in these big games, if a guy could dominate, you got an uphill climb to win a game. If a guy is going to get 70%, on you, 75% on you, and that can happen.
Do you think there's an advantage? It seems like some of the schools, and like I'm just thinking because we were talking about Georgetown, and they seem to be the beneficiary a lot. Maybe it's because there's certain courses and things at the school. They they seem to get those fifth year guys pretty like from whether it's the Ivy League or they seem to pick off quite a
Yeah,
few of those guys.
Duke has
Notre
got.
Dame is good at that too.
Yeah, no, that look. I think that has to do with you know. I think more than guys just ring chasing, hoping to get on a team they maybe could win one that maybe
Right,
didn't where they were.
right,
I think these are top-notch universities
right,
with top-notch master's programs and setting guys up for life. So if you've had a good career wherever you started, you're yeah, those two kids from Yale,
right.
and they're going to go to Maryland or somebody who was at one of these Maryland, and now you're going to go to Duke, and because they have these 1 year masters programs that are really really
Does
coveted.
I wonder? We've never asked this. I wonder if it's like when you think about the Ivies, and we know that the rule that they can't play. Although who knows, with all the changing rules, maybe the Ivies will at some point have to break down and say, you know what, we got to get with the times and bend a little bit of our rules at some point. Like Penn has the Wharton school,
Right,
but so a guy who might have graduated has time. He couldn't go to Penn just to be in the Wharton school.
right. Nah, they're not going to do that.
Ah, that's
I don't think so. I mean, look, I don't think the Ivies are ever going to bend, to be honest with you. They always seem to want to do their own thing. That's, even some of the things that are happening now, they seem to be they don't want to be part of, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, listen, that's a disadvantage for them with all of these new rules where, you know, they're generally, you know, getting younger guys. I would imagine their teams probably age-wise are, you know, average probably younger than the other schools, I
Could
would
be, but you
expect.
know, a lot of the guys who go to the Ivies, you got to remember, a lot of them do prep school
They
year too.
probably do prep school too.
A lot of them, you know, they come out of high school, they do another prep year, whatever. Or maybe they were holdback plus a prep
Right.
school. Now they're you know, it definitely makes a difference. You know, what you are at 24, 25 compared to what you are at 20. You know, and then let's take a guy who comes in as a freshman and you're playing against a guy you're 8, like you and I would have went in our fall. We're 17 in the fall
Right.
until you
Right.
know
Right.
November. You know, and you
Yeah,
turn
but
18 in
I
November.
did a prep school year.
No, you
Don't
did it on
forget.
the ice truck.
I did the prep school year on the ice.
You got a master's at Port Washington Ice
Exactly.
Company.
Exactly right.
But
They
no,
should
but I'm saying,
all kids should get that master's degree
yeah,
and see if they could work 120 days in a row. And I don't
yeah,
mean Monday to Friday. I mean
that's right.
Monday through Sunday.
Yeah. And the saying of our boss, rest in peace, Mr. Nuzzles. We don't make a lot of money, but we have a lot of fun.
Right. It was fun.
That was
I
his
will
thing.
say that was
We
fun.
used to, we worked our asses off. But yeah, you know, listen, it's a whole different world, you know, now. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see. You know, you know, we didn't even mention Virginia. Don't
Yeah.
count Virginia out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
can Millen in his second year, can he carry the mail? It's a lot. Seems like there's a lot on that kid's shoulders to me. You
Well,
know,
but you know what? There's a lot of support there. Charles is there.
yeah, Charles
Moon's son
Balsamo.
is
You know,
back and
they
healthy.
got
It's nice to see him back and on the field again after all what he went through. You know, I mean, these are great stories. You know, they always get a lot of recruits. You know, that's going to be a tough year.
they get guys, but I think you know just what's going on. I mean, unfortunately, I was reading something. I think they got 3 top freshmen. None of them are going to play this year.
Yeah,
They
I
all
mean,
got injured.
but they never really said why.
I know Roy's son blew his knee out,
Right.
the
He got
younger
hurt.
one. So he's out for that. I don't know about those other 2 guys. I think at least one of the other ones was an injury too.
Wow.
But like I said, you know, the game has changed. Like back in the day, like when the guy picked a school and he did his 4 years straight through and it was over. You
Right.
know, Richie had a, and then guys figured it out a little bit too, grabbing guys from junior college. Those junior college were pretty good feeder
And
programs.
maybe that's going to be back again now.
No, especially since they changed the rule there.
Right.
They said junior college doesn't count towards your 4 years playing at a
Right.
university.
So
So a
that
guy
very
who's
opens
maybe
up
physically immature, he could go to
totally.
Nassau. Well, I'm talking about who live near us. You go to Nassau. You so let's say you play 1 or 2, say even 1 or 2 years. Say you do 2. You know, if you got a young birthday, you know, in
Yeah.
terms of how when you got out of high school. So you play 2 years at Nassau. You don't eat up your eligibility. You go you got an associate's degree in 2 years. You make sure whatever credits are transferable into what 4 year school you're going to go to, and you go in and you ease your burden in terms of studying and everything. You know, maybe you come into a school with 40 credits, 50
Or
credits.
right. Or you graduate early and then you take a master's class while you're at that school.
Yeah,
Or
and you're playing, and you've been playing, you know, already. You know, you got some experience with that. You know, listen, it's like I said, for these guys, these coaches, I don't envy them trying to navigate through all of that. You know, it's like if you had a pie chart, what part of it is like really coaching?
right.
You
Right.
know, what is the importance of the coaching part? You know, you got let's say you want to say you got mentoring, you got recruiting, you got condition, you know, all these things.
It's not in lacrosse as much as other sports, but we even talked about this, you know, like the continuity of your team, you know, if you're having a lot of reloads, if guys are leaving and you're bringing new guys in and that's a constant thing, how do you build, you know, you don't have that situation where, wow, these guys came in, this class was a freshman class and now they're seniors and, you
Right.
know, 10 of them are here and they're all on the field. You're not seeing as much of that, but in lacrosse you see it. Obviously, other sports it's less now
No,
because
basketball is like really going
yeah,
wild
they're
now.
going all over.
Guys are all over the map. It's like 1 year to the next. Doesn't even matter. it's just like who can give me more money, and guys
Right,
are jumping to
exactly.
it.
Right.
So, I mean, lacrosse is not at that stage. Ain't guys getting money thrown at them like that.
Well,
But
I think we talked to one of the D1 coaches. He said, "What's your NIL budget?" And I think they said like 10,000 or 15,000. So it's not like basketball where they're giving one guy $600,000 to
yeah,
go to school for the year.
some of these guys, they used to say they want to be one and done, go to the NBA, make money. They're making
Right.
more money staying in college.
Well, that's the whole reason why the junior college deal happened. That's really the crux of it, was that the guy expands his opportunity to make money. That quarterback from Vanderbilt, he gets another year, to at least make some money. So,
Yeah. So, but
what do you
if
think?
if you want to hold me to a definitive 4 teams, I'll take 2 out of the ACC. I'll go with Notre Dame. I'll say Syracuse, and on I'll say Cornell, and I'm going to say maybe Georgetown gets there again this year. So that'll be my 4.
I think Notre Dame's a lock to get there. I mean, I
Right?
think they're going to be tough to beat. I would say Cornell's going to get there this year. I think Cornell. I feel good about where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse, it's. I would say, and then my other ACC team, I would say, would be either Syracuse or Virginia. One of those two teams will be one, and then I'm going to say Tillman gets back there again,
Right?
and I'm going to say
That'll be
Maryland
some.
gets there. I think he can do it again. He just grinds. He grinds everybody out. At some point, one of those Big Ten teams has got to make it. Is somebody going to take down Maryland? Is it going to be Michigan or Hopkins? Or Penn State? Penn State, I think, could be strong
No,
in
Penn
the Big
State.
Ten.
They're no joke. I mean, like you said before, the parity has really come to the game. So we'll see. It's going to be
What do
fun.
you What do you think about? I know we never really talk about this too much, but we never really get into the D2 teams. Is Gordy going to be back? Is Gordy going back for
Well, I
another
think
trip?
they're predicted back. I think they got them preseason number one. I think he's got a lot coming back. I think he's got some good kids coming in.
Right.
I think he cracked the code finally,
Yeah.
Gordy.
He,
And they're right there. I mean, you also got to consider that their arch nemesis Merrimack on one of those teams, and that other team up that they bumped up, didn't they? So
they
they
did.
don't have to contend with that
They
team.
did.
Wait!
And we got a
Breaking news!
visitor. And we got
Breaking news!
Hannah.
Breaking news! Oh, he just came back from skiing.
We got Hannah.
Hannah, how you doing, Hannah?
And
How
we're
are
all
you?
sick.
No, speak for
All right,
yourself.
turn on the light over here. Over here.
How can you
Thank God for Hannah. Thank God for Hannah.
Oh,
It's a little. Thank God.
well, that's
Smalls,
nice to have a visit from
it's a
Hannah.
little.
Apologize. Holy cow. Everyone's sick. Everyone
fell
went down like
We're
Ironside.
gonna catch you up. We're gonna catch you up quick. We're
Okay,
gonna give you
guys.
5
Go ahead. Good
minutes.
morning. Good afternoon. Good evening.
We want rapid answers from you on this.
All right, I'll do
The
it.
lights are so bright, you look like you're under questioning.
Oh
Right.
my God, man.
So we need quick answers. Okay.
The games I'm picking my hat.
The final four. No, we'll get the picks after. Your final 4 teams. What are your
Just simple.
4 teams? Go ahead.
I'll get right into it. I'm going to kill my dear friend, my 2 good friends. If Syracuse and Cornell don't make it, it's a complete bust.
Okay.
It'll kill them.
So you got those 2.
I know many of the fathers. I'm not going to call them out. A couple Jewish guys, Italian guys. I won't call them out. But if they don't win, oh my God, I'm leaving. I'm going to. I'm moving away.
So you're saying Syracuse. You're saying Cornell. I said Cornell.
Yeah.
I said Syracuse or Virginia.
Team with the most talent. And that's across the board with the most talent. Obviously, they're going for a three-peat. And listen, with all due respect, that coach Carrigan, how do you pronounce it? Corrigan. I know I got to pronounce that guy. 38 years of coaching. He finally won 2. If he won 3, I wouldn't feel sad for the guy. He three-peated.
He's a good guy.
And it'll go down as probably one of the greatest teams in history.
And they could do it.
To three-peat is unbelievable. It's the hardest thing to do. It really is, man.
There's been 3 three-peats before.
What?
Yeah, 3 times.
Not in the last 20 years.
Well, not 20 years, but...
Not 20 years, but...
Hopkins had a three-peat.
Right.
Princeton had a three-peat.
And Syracuse.
And Syracuse had a three-peat.
So this
I think you got listen to me. I mean
that's rare. That's rare air to get 3. It really is. I mean, that's so hard. But their 3, I think, is a little different. Like Syracuse had the gates. They got the 3 under the gates. You know, Princeton got the 3. They had that attack, Massey, Hubbard, and Hess. Pretty solid for the 3 years. Hopkins, I think, was similar to this Notre Dame situation. Yeah. Where they might have had a couple of different guys in one of those years, you know.
They did. They replaced people, but they had a solid group of guys who were, listen and think about that. They lost for the 4th time.
That's what I heard the whole trip from the other room. Woof! Did you hear that? Did you catch that?
The goal from.
I'm hurting, man. I'm hurting.
By a goal.
Oh my
God!
That
was the 4th one.
That could have been
off Hopkins.
So I spoke to Beardsley today. He's under the weather too. This cold, what do they call it? The bird flu or whatever they call it. This bird flu is terrible.
You got a bird flu?
Isn't that what they call it? I don't know.
Is that what you got?
Around. I'm not feeling too hot myself.
No, I mean,
I'm staying away from you guys. That's good.
I always tell everybody, don't laugh at the bird flu, man. Look at these birds, man. I tell you, I feel terrible. Your head can't get off the pillow. It's like.
So we want to show, we know that you've been, after Florida, you got to get yourself going. And
I do.
Well, let me tell you, Stephen. I told him what tell him that we did cover you coming to the airport in your pajamas and your last minute. We went through all of that. We talked about going and seeing Jimmy. We talked about at the field. We talked about you teaching the kids, talking to everybody. We went through all of that. You weren't here for
it. Can I make a statement?
No, it was good. Without you here, we were able to explain it a little better because we didn't have you jumping in. But go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to I always loved this family, but now, as he complimented me, the Irish brothers, the Irish twins, the 3 twins.
The Kavanaughs.
I love the Kavanaughs. Who's this new Kavanaugh kid? Is this kid still in college?
There's one still in college, Chris Kavanaugh.
Wait, but which Kavanaugh was the one that he was up in Florida too for the weekend, right?
There was no Kavanaugh.
No, there was nobody in Florida. What's he talking about?
You said he saw me do. He complimented on.
He saw on Instagram.
Okay. But which one was it?
I want to show you're coming back, Smalls. This is for you. Ready? This is for you.
This is it.
This was Smalls getting ready, working out, ready to go in.
No. Go ahead. You're gonna show pictures or something? Oh my God.
What?
Show the big fans Smalley working out.
Let's see.
Anyway, I wanted to give a shout out to Kavanaugh. Oh my God.
There he is. Here he goes. This is his morning routine. Oh, look at it.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
He just swallowed 6 raw eggs. He drank 6 raw eggs. He did 2 to 3 squats, and that's it.
Oh my God, for the fans, that is an all-time classic. I got to admit it. I'm so out of shape. God.
This is a guy who ran a 5-minute mile to make the.
No, I've been a 5:05. I don't want to. Don't give me any credit. My daughter gave me water. Can you believe this? I got a glass of water.
Amazing. So Small's gonna give his picks.
Yeah,
picks. We're gonna be putting the store. The fans get to pick. So just like we did in the last season, when we put the Instagram stories up. The fans get a choice. They get a collective choice by picking. And they'll go against us and our picks. Our picks will be on.
We didn't pick yet? You guys didn't pick?
Vinny picked. I picked. Well, we picked.
Well, we picked, but we didn't put it up.
Right. I got to put it in the story.
I'll go first on the thing if you want me to.
Well, we picked, but unless you want to pick them now, you want to go.
Yeah, I'll pick them on the air because I'm aren't I the champ or no?
You could do it. You got the list.
Yeah, I got the list. Let me just
you have the list.
I have some out of the list. I'm not sure.
Games. Wait, it's easier for
we have to sharpen up our game here, Smalls, because we're getting competition. There's new podcasts coming out every day.
We got a lot of competition.
Anyway, I wanted to shout out and give a thanks to the kid from Notre Dame. And I don't know what I could give him as a gift. Maybe a little shepherd's pie or something to him and the family. You have his address? I'll send him
games here. Let me just pull up those games.
Hey, Vinny, just very quickly. It was 3 brothers or 4 brothers that played Kavanaugh? 3 total.
One played. Matt is the oldest boy. He played at Notre Dame. Then you got the 2 that just played together last year, but older than them is the one that played at Hofstra. Brendan.
There's 4 brothers.
There's 4. There might be another one. I don't know.
Holy cow.
I think they have a sister too or something. I'm not
sure.
God
bless them, man.
But I know at least 4 brothers.
This guy that was commenting on the move that when I said open up the hips, what was that, Kavanaugh?
That's the guy out at the Outlaws.
He plays in the pro league. That kid.
Yeah. All right,
talk to that kid. I like that one. Yeah.
The first game is Utah getting 3 against Ohio State.
Do you want me to go first on everything, Vince?
I picked all of my
I'm going to Ohio State. Do me, I'll go first. And you guys are going to be honest that you're not going to.
Well, go ahead.
What?
You want Ohio State?
I guess he wants us to pick,
No, Ohio State. I picked.
Okay. And what'd you pick, Vin?
Ohio State.
And I'm picking Utah. I'm going the opposite. I'm going for the underdog.
All right, go ahead.
Then you got Merrimack getting 3.5 against Bucknell.
I'll go.
Well, since I got my Bucknell shirt on, look.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Look at the logo on the back.
So you're going for Bucknell.
Okay, so I'll go with Bucknell on that. What do you go, Vinny?
I'm Bucknell also.
And I'm going the opposite of you guys again. I'm going Merrimack. I'm going to go Merrimack. Then, this is a big one. You got Maryland minus 4.5 against Richmond.
I'm going Richmond.
Ooh.
Even though I'm wearing a nice Maryland top.
I'm going Maryland.
Okay. I go with Maryland also on that one.
Okay.
Early season, I think Maryland will win, but 4.5 goals. I think Chamati's gonna keep it close.
Okay. All right. The next one, this is your man, Mike Warney.
Let me pick that one. I'm never going against Warney.
Warney minus 3.5 against Loyola.
I'm going with Georgetown.
I'm going Georgetown too.
Unanimous.
That's my new buddy, man. My new best friend. Right. I tell you.
Then you got Providence minus 6.5 against Holy Cross.
That's a
I'm going
with
with Providence.
One. I'm going Providence too.
Yeah, in the first opening game. Yeah, I would say I'll stick with all that. Yep.
Okay. Then we have Air Force minus 1.5 against Lafayette.
Oh, let me see. Air Force minus 1. That's a pick.
1.5.
I'll stick with Air Force.
I'm picking Air Force.
And I had Air Force. Yeah.
Okay. See, we got some similarities on those. Then you got Navy is minus 1.5 against High Point.
I'm going High Point.
Wait, Navy and High Point?
I'm going High Point too. That's your guy, though. I know it's your guy, Smalls, Amplo.
Amplo's great, but I have a feeling that my game might head to overtime.
I'm going to go...
John Crawley, that's John Crawley's debut as a coach.
Right.
I'm going to go Navy on that game. I think, beginning of season.
Then You got Mount St. Mary's -1.5 against Queens.
I'm going Mount St. Mary's.
I'm going Mount St. Mary's too.
Me too. We're unanimous on that one.
All right. Oh, this is a big one here. You got Mercer -11.5 against Hampton.
It's a lot of goals.
It's a lot of goals.
So who's favored?
But I'm saying they're going to cover them. I'm going Mercer.
Wait, who's favored?
Mercer.
11.5?
Yeah, I'm going Mercer. They're going to show no mercy.
Probably. They got no goalie. They just keep scoring, I guess. I go Mercy, too.
Mercer.
Mercer.
I'm going with Mercer also. Hampton,
okay.
That roster's been thin.
Here's another big goals. This one is a little different, though. Duke -10.5 versus Bellarmine. I'm going to go Bellarmine early in the season. Hanging tough.
I'm going with Duke.
Yeah, I got to stay with Duke. I mean, you can score in bunches. They'll score 3, yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah, we got a little difference.
A lot of goals, but I think,
Here's a tight one. Lehigh -1.5 against Rutgers.
I'll take the underdog, Rutgers.
I'm taking Lehigh, the favorite.
That game, that's a tough game. 1.5. I'm going to go with Lehigh also.
Okay. And then, here we go. Michigan -8 against Marquette.
Wow.
What do you say?
Man, my boy Josh Maholland.
Yeah, what are you
and
saying?
his son. I love the Mahollands, man. What do I think? 8 points? I got to pick against Josh. The other team. What'd you say? I don't think the other one.
Marquette.
Yeah. 8.5 is a lot of points.
8, not 8.5.
Not 8.5. 8. I'm picking Marquette.
Vinciola?
I'm going with Michigan.
Okay. And last but not least, this was one of the best games from last year.
Yeah, it was a great game.
Hopkins -1.5 against Denver. I'm picking Hopkins.
I'm going Hopkins too.
It's on the road. It's a long trip. That's the one thing about that game that.
Yeah, Denver's.
Are they going into Denver?
They're going into Denver, but I think they're going to win that game. But I could see, I could see it. I could see me losing and winning the game. I could see Hopkins winning a 1-goal game. I could see.
I'm gonna go with Denver. You got to go all the way to Denver. First game of the year. It's gonna be snowing in Denver.
So we got I don't think it's gonna be snowing, but
you know what we should do just for fun sometimes? We should just pick without the spread and with the spread and see how different we.
Would you make? If you
some of them, I would pick differently. Of course,
Yeah,
of course. Some games here, teams that are favored by 10 and 8 goals, most likely.
I mean, people are saying with the spread, they're like, "How could Smalley win games?" It's just that he actually won the Pro League. Here he goes.
It's sitting inside.
Here he goes.
No, just kidding. I was out cold. Life didn't exist.
See, you think the other podcasters in the world have to worry about their co-hosts unconscious on it? This is like a Howard Stern.
We give him a pass. The guy showed up in his pajamas. He gets a pass for a while.
He did show up in his
pajamas. He supported the team down there.
That poor cleaning lady that had to clean up after him in that room.
Oh, my God. I never saw anything.
I just want to wish everybody good luck. And
they put me in a room in Florida, locked the door so I could get murdered.
Oh, my God. The guy goes into the other room. You know how sometimes you go into a room and you start opening doors, attachment doors. He goes into the other room like a Goomba. Goomba said, you think, Vinny, it's not our room. You think we could get it? No, it's a whole other room. It costs another $1,000 a night. Vinny don't care. Imagine somebody came in.
I set up shop. No, the best part is, so I say, the hell with it, I'm sleeping in here. Because this guy assaulted him. But Steven is like minor compared to Smalley in terms of snoring.
I slept on the pull-out couch in the living room, and he
had... I'm a light sleeper. So I go in the other room. I'm sleeping. I get up the next day. This guy's got every door locked. He's got me locked out to go where they are. I said, what's it? He says, well, I was a little worried. Somebody was going to come into that room. They could murder you. You could get murdered, but I'm not getting murdered. He said, hey, you might get murdered, but I'm locking the door.
But at least you were on the other side. It's like literally like almost like this podcast. You're over there. Smalley's in that room in the middle on that pullout, and I'm in the other room, and I got my door closed, and all I'm hearing is, I'm like, what's in that room? A wild boar? I go, what is going?
Don't make me laugh.
Yeah.
I start coughing if I laugh.
I was terrified.
I got whooping too.
No, and then he'd go down, then that's a whole nother story. He's got stories about the hot tub in the place. They go down to the hot tub.
Let him tell that at least.
Go ahead, Swell. Tell them about the hot tub. The hot tub action.
Oh, God, I go down and go swimming. And the weather was a little weird in Florida. You know, it's been cold there. It's been snowing, so we had 2 bad days. So let me go in the hot tub. I'm so out of shape for the new year. I want to get in shape. And I go down there. I'm in the hot tub. It was great. The first one was phenomenal hot tub. I do a little swim. It's kind of light raining. There's 2 people in the pool. I start talking. I say, how you doing? They're retired. They're like in their late 70s and stuff. So I go, hey, what's your name? Everything. He goes, dumbass.
You're like me. You laugh. You
cough. My cold is bad. I'm sorry.
Sick.
Oh, so I met dumbass when I first got there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and then we were in the hot tub, and Tommy Lee came into the hot tub. That
guy with all kinds of tattoos, looked like Tommy Lee, the drummer, who used to date the girl. And then what's the movie? That famous movie?
People can't understand it. I wish they would.
No, the beautiful blonde girl on the beach. She was just saved. She was alive.
Bob Wire. You're talking about
Pamela Anderson.
Pamela Anderson. Man. Yeah, so
nobody could believe if they just had the camera following him around. Then he was calling the guys. You were calling them the Aryans.
He looked like the other guy came in. Looked like an Aryan from the Aryan race. His head was shaved, tattoos.
Oh my God!
I was just kidding. It's just a lot of fun meeting people.
We definitely had a lot of fun. We got to give a shout out to the teams we played with: Garbage Gorillas, Peter Schmitz running the Gorillas with a bunch of really good guys there, overlapping with the Patriots team, run by the Nazlansky brothers, Billy and John. John was phenomenal.
It was the Florida lacrosse league.
We got to tell the good with the bad. You know, we lost in the finals with the Garbage Gorillas. We lost a tough game, 5-4. Our arch nemesis, Harley, beat us. So that's a couple in a row. They beat us in Placid, and they beat us. I think that might be 3 in a row they won. And so we're going to have to bounce back. But it's always... We usually kill everybody, and they usually kill everybody, and then we get down with us and them, and it's usually a 1-goal game.
It's a great event, Vinny. It's a great event for you guys. You guys are in your late 60s. I give you a lot of credit still playing. It's unbelievable. What's it called? The Florida Lacrosse Classic. And you guys raise money. 24 years you've been doing it.
They raise the money. You know, we show up, we pay a fee, and they do all the work. Those people down there are great.
It's a big fundraiser for lacrosse. You guys basically... Yeah,
I think the first time I went down, I think was in 2006. I went for the first time. So when I went down, it was only a 45 and older division, and we went down with a slow-mo's team that was mostly Virginia and Manhasset guys in honor of my dear friend John Driscoll. And you know, those guys put it together. I just played, and we had a nice team, and we ended up winning down in Florida. We won up in Placid. We won in the World Championships. It was a good team. But when we went to Florida for the first time, there were 16 teams. We made number 16, and they seeded us 16 because we were new. And we were saying, you know, I remember when, you know, we met in the hotel where we were staying, and the guy said, we're seeded 16 because we're new in this tournament. We got to play, you know, that Harley team who was the top dogs, you know. And they were saying, you know, that's not right. We got to play that team. We're probably the 2 best teams. It's not right, fair for us. I said, it's not fair for them either. They got to play us. They're the number 1 seed. They might get knocked off in the first game. So they beat us in triple overtime that time. And then we finally broke through, I think, the next year or the year after. Then we won it 2 or 3 times in a row. And so it's always been like us.
I give credit to any guys that are still out there doing it. Each time I do it, I'm 56. I see these guys that are still out there. Billy Barroza, 68, 69 years old. Vinny's out there. I mean, it makes me feel like I don't have an excuse. Like I have to keep going if they're still going.
Some of these guys are playing multiple teams. You know, they're bound. They're going. You know, we didn't have one of our stalwarts this year who usually plays on 2 or 3 teams. Timmy Sher.
Yeah,
he must have been a little nicked up, but he wasn't there. He usually plays with us. Our defense is not the problem. Our offense is the problem. We don't score enough goals against the 2 best teams when it's us and Toyota. We struggle. I call them Toyota because they were that too. I think at one time, Harley. But we got to find a way to bring in a few guys that could run and put the ball in the goal.
I give you guys so much credit, Vinny, but man, you guys are like broken down Felices, man. But listen, I give you credit for just even running out there. I don't know how you do it.
It's not right to laugh at some guys, and I laugh at myself.
Oh, my God.
When your legs crumble and you're running for a ball and your legs just crumble sometimes. And
someone's the greatest. Watching you guys still do it at that age.
I feel crumbling. I don't feel crumbling.
No, you definitely see some good, you definitely see some good plays. You see some. Listen, I think, I was part of one of the plays of the tournament when Johnny Naz ran down the goalie.
No, imagine that. Smalls, you didn't think that. Now, Vinny was playing with the Garbers. He wasn't really playing in the low, the 55. And all of a sudden, because they were whatever short midfielders, Vinny comes into the game with the 55s, and he makes 2 assists.
Yeah.
Just so the fans know, Vinny's 65 years old, playing in the 55-year-old division. 66. Guys, when you get to this age, you're lucky you can even get out there. So I give everybody credit. But it is fun. It's like geriatrics.
Yeah.
And for the fans, think of your 65-year-old maybe grandfather. The grandfather. Think of him running out there on a lacrosse field.
And wait a minute. How about what we didn't? It almost happened. It was this close to happening that Bonzo, Maryland legend, was in uniform.
Bob Boniello said to me during the Patriot, you have the picture, don't you, Steve?
I don't have the picture. You got to send me the picture.
To you. Yeah. I got to send it. You got to put it. I showed him. So Bob Boniello, good friend.
From the great Levittown.
One of the greatest all time from Long Island in high school. Great career at Maryland. Great club. He was just a phenom. And he ref for many years. The game took its toll on his body, like all of us, But he's had back surgeries, hip. He's got everything. And he's most of the time walking with a cane. And he comes watch our first game. And he's helping out with the refs, kind of, running the clock and the score. And then we go over to the other field, and I wasn't going to play. Steven's now playing with the Patriot team, 55 and older. And Bonzo turns to me and he goes, you think they'd let me play? And I look at him like, I said, play.
God.
And I said, yeah. I said, Naz, Bonzo wants to play. So I gave him all my equipment, and he suited up. And, he would have went in. But they were a little afraid.
You got any pictures of Bonzo? Does anybody have a picture?
I got the picture. Wait, I got to find it. We're going to put it.
Thought he was going to come in on extra man at least. And we got a foul. And somehow the foul they picked up the flag. They did a Kansas City Chiefs.
Greatest guy to ever play at Maryland. It took 40 years. Robert Boniello from Levittown. It took somebody from Maryland 40 years to break the record. What's the guy's name? Rambo. Not Bambi. You said Bambi. Rambo.
I said Rambo.
Rambo broke his record after 40 years. Imagine that.
I sent you his picture, Steven. I said, see if you could put it. But he looked good. He had my turf shoes on. He had my helmet, gloves, arm pads. So it was funny because our other buddy Tash, who a couple of years ago came out of retirement, hadn't played, came to Placid wearing the bucket helmet and the whole bit. And I said, Tash, if you can move even a little bit, you're going to score. Don't worry. On attack, you're going to end up open. They're not going to cover you. And he did. He scored in the first game. He scored. He had a goal and an assist, I think. He scored in each of. So Bonzo,
there he is.
There he is. Look at Bonzo. Look at him looking good.
He looks good there. He looks good there.
Look at him.
Hey, Bonzo's actually 67.
Yeah.
Bonzo's 67-year-old guy there.
Yeah, I think he's a year older than me.
Guys, Maryland University, 67 years old. He put it on. The guy, I mean, these guys are warriors, guys that love the game. I'll give him a big hand, man. Bonzo, man. Bonzo, man. So the fans know, man. They got to know, like, this level is the dedication when you guys are young.
If this doesn't tell you that guys have it in their blood that they would risk, you're risking. These guys could drop.
Risk, exactly.
But they love it.
Guys have dropped. And guys have gotten off the turf. Thank God they have great, in Lake Placid and down in Florida, they have great staffs. And Vail, where, that they have people on.
No, these guys running these tournaments, they really do a top-notch job. They make everything available.
Oh, they do good. They do a good guy.
But I'm sure those 3 days the event is going, they're holding their breath, because
Probably.
You see some crazy plays out there. Some
guys have heart attacks. Last year, a guy had a heart attack, right? I mean,
no, listen, the guy got saved on the field by Dr. Joe Botner. That was in Vail.
Right,
that was Danny Vulture. So, look,
you know what it is for all the young people, all the people that are playing in the game today, all the Dukes, all the games that these people play out there and everything, and the time that all the old timers put into the game, all the sweat and tears, all the big equipment that never fit, that was always broken and stuff, to the technology today. You guys, I mean, they should be giving back to you guys every day, man, for what you did for the game and how it's built up today.
What's funny is some of the guys playing in like the 60, 65-year-old league, there's guys playing with their college equipment. It's
that's crazy,
right? We were laughing about the one guy, Scott Petosa was a great All-American from Hobart, and he was getting around the field pretty good. I said, who's that? And then they told me, I said, oh, yeah, he was a player. But he had the old brine. I don't even know what model that is, but
he had the old brine. I saw brine stick. You're right, but the old ones.
Steven was calling them oven mitts.
Yeah.
I was calling him the My Pillow guy. They looked like he had 2 pillows on the end of his, compared to today. This guy's running. Those guys in that division, they're using the old school equipment. It's hysterical.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Hobart back in the day, guys, for all the fans, Hobart is not a big-time name right now, but back in the day, they were division. They won 14 to 18 national championships.
I don't know about that many, but they won a lot. They did. They won, multiple. It was probably 10.
They won 12, like 11 in a row at one point.
Yeah, almost 11 in a row national champions, Hobart.
They could have competed with anybody during that run. They had great players and a great coach. They had first Schmidt, and then they had Jerry Schmidt, and then they had Dave Urich, God rest his soul, who just passed away recently. He was a phenomenal coach. And so that team, they called them, Hobart's the statesman, they called that team the eldest statesman is the name of that team. And it's a mix of guys. It's not limited to Hobart guys, but it's a Hobart-centric type team. But it's just, the social aspect of the thing and guys catching up and what are your kids doing and what's this happening, It's fun, but it takes its toll on your body. There's no doubt about it. No matter how much you even really try to, because if the better shape.
I wasn't in as good a shape as I was the year before.
No, but the thing is, this is the funny part about it. The better shape you're in, you end up playing more and playing for more teams. You come back more sore than when you just say, I'm just going to play on one team, right?
That's true.
I see guys who definitely, there's a lot of guys who used to play. There he goes. Get the towel. Cheryl, where's the goat, Cheryl? Where's Cheryl? Cheryl, take care of this guy.
After what I witnessed in that other room, Cheryl should get the Congressional Medal of Honor, Valor, and everything else.
She's got the greatest wife in the history of wives.
I don't even know how she does it. Maybe no wonder why she wasn't mad at him that he was going. She was like, good, take him for a few days.
She loves when he gets.
I remember telling him back in the day, I said, listen, I was joking with her before I got married and everything. I said, listen, God forbid you get old someday. I'm going to have to, I told my wife, I'm going to have to ship you out to Fire Island, put a patch over your eye, you know? Oh my God, how life could change. But she's in phenomenal shape. She never changed. She got the best genes in the world. But last year we were at a restaurant. We're at the famous restaurant in Manhasset. What's it called? Was it
Brian and Cooper.
the Paul Brothers? The other one.
Brian Cipollini.
Cipollini's. We're at Cipollini's. Sitting there with all her cousins and everything. You know, and my stomach, I got so out of shape. I'm really hurting now. She starts to tell a story about my husband, you know, being on the, we're just joking now for all you fans, that being on the spectrum, being a little crazy, whatever like that. And she starts telling the whole story how, you know what? Remember that time, Rob, when you told me if I ever get old? She goes, well, I'm just about to send you the patch. I'm going to send you to Fire Island. That's why you never make fun of your wife, because it could change. I was Mr. Buff. Now I'm Mr. Huff. You know what I'm saying? I'm so out of shape. I need somebody to help me in the lacrosse world to train me. I'm so out of shape.
So we're at these shout-outs.
Who?
We're wrapping it up. We're at our
All
shout-outs.
Right. I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I'm going to give a shout-out to our friend Roy Colsey, who just got hired as coach of the Carolina Chaos.
Wow, that's a
passion
big one.
for the game.
Big one.
His knowledge of the game. He's done it at every level, indoor, outdoor.
Wow, that's a
the
great
whole works.
Let me ask you this, because now I got to compound on the shout out, and I want to hear what Smalley has to think.
Yeah,
I think the makeup of that team changes, you know, a little bit.
Possibly, you know, they got a lot of talent. It may change, you know. You don't know. But
he's a nice,
back.
You know. Look, Roy's done the Canadian box,
right?
So he's obviously played a lot of years of box with us and continued to play. So he's got that experience to deal with those guys from that level, but he's also got the field experience. That's a great pick as a coach. If you think about for that group, it's a great pick for that. I just wonder if the team, if they buy into that, or do they bring in some Canadian influence as an assistant? It's going to be interesting to see how they work that out.
Well, what they did do, I did see in like whatever they put out on it, that, you know, Roy's going to be the coach. I think Towers kind of acted as the head coach and GM.
Right.
They got Spencer Ford's going to be the GM.
Right.
So Spencer Ford, you know, we'll see how he, as a GM.
And they had other guys that they were talking about as potentially being the coach. Obviously, they picked Roy, but maybe, who knows? Maybe Brody Merrill's like an assistant or something.
And who knows?
You know, because I know his name was in the mix too there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so, you know, it's good to see Roy back in the game. It's funny, I think it was his first year coaching as a high school coach. He won the state championship in Connecticut.
Nice.
So he, you know, he's got a lot of knowledge, and I think he's got the right temperament for like the older guys. You know what I mean? It's not always easy. A guy who was a college coach to coach these older guys, you know, it's like you got to finesse it a little bit now and then. You know, these guys are not, at this point of their careers, they ain't looking to get yelled at from some guy like they're you know, 15 years old, you know. And so I know Roy knows how to, you know, because Roy was a guy who just, you know, played. You know, he didn't say all that much when he was playing. He just played, at least when he played with us, because he was a little younger when he played with us. But, you know, he's got vast knowledge, and I wish him the best.
My shout out goes to Jimmy.
Jimmy Flanagan's. Oh, man, Jimmy.
Got his Hofstra coat from Smalley.
Yeah.
He might need it. It's been a little chilly down there.
Yeah.
But, you know, he took care of us well. I want to give a shout out. If anybody's down in that western area, go see Jimmy down at Flanagan's. You'll get yourself a nice dish of ribs and jumbo shrimp.
Ribs. Yeah, and we had a good meal, right, Smalls?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a great place for seafood down there. What's it actually called for the fans when they're down there?
Flanagan's.
Flanagan's, unbelievable. Can't even get a table. 2.5 hour wait. We walk in. What did I give him this year? I gave him the jacket right off my back.
Jacket. Yeah. At the Hofstra jacket. He went to Hofstra.
He went to Hofstra. He gave him a beautiful North Face jacket with a hood.
Calhoun. He was a wrestler at Calhoun.
Yeah, he wrestled at Calhoun.
Yeah.
Right. And so, Jimmy's our guy. Now I got his number. We'll text him in advance next time when we go.
We couldn't believe that a year went by. So
right.
When we walked in, he was like a little shocked to see us. He said, "That's a year already." It's, yeah.
This is gonna be a tough year for me. I gotta make a serious comeback. God bless everybody's health. Another great year, coaches and everything. But I want to get right into it. I gotta give a big shout out to Dougie Hall and Jamie Allen.
Dougie Hall and Jamie Allen. Dougie Hall.
I never give a shout out to the guys that started Levittown. They put North Carolina on the map. I mean, they really did. They won two. It was 2 in a row or 3 in a row?
2 in a row.
2 in a row. And then Jamie also won 2 at Nassau, right? So he's got 4.
I think so.
He's got 4 national champions. I want to give
I think he only lost 1 game or 2 games.
Something like that, yeah. No, the crazy stat, the kid, yeah. And also, I want to also some of the coaches I want to give a shout out to. God bless Petramali, Dave Petramali. Hopefully, Dave, if you're out there listening, please, I'm asking you, Dave, if you know somebody at North Carolina, get me to a football game, Dave. You'll never let it down. You'll never let it down. Vinny, me, will come out there, we'll have a ball. And then the other ones, a guy, Joey Ducks, who had open heart surgery. Wasn't he very sick, Joey Ducks? Joey,
very sick.
Calamino, what's his how do you pronounce his last name?
Cowboy.
Joe Cowboy, Corella.
Well, the fans know Joe Corella. His son plays for Georgetown, but I want to give a shout out. He wasn't feeling well, and he was smart enough to go to the doctor, and he's doing okay, Vinny? What's going on?
Yeah, he's doing great. Well, you said open heart surgery. It wasn't like they had to put a stent. So that's not quite.
Oh, wasn't the heart? Or?
Yeah, they put a stent. One of his
God bless him, man.
It was blocked. He played a game that night. He wasn't feeling good. He was driving home. He said his Apple Watch was the tip off. His heart rate didn't go down. It was above 85, and he's never like high like that. And he wasn't feeling. So he says, something's wrong. So he was smart enough. He went right to the hospital, and they looked and they said, we'll give you some tests. And they said, look, you got a 90% blocked artery.
Holy crap!
So everybody who you neglect your health, and I'm not even talking whether you're overweight or you drink or you do whatever. Some guys smoke, whatever it is. I'm not again. You do what you want, but at the very least, every now and then you got to go for a physical.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. I'm one of those.
I tell this guy all the time. He's got a beautiful family, beautiful wife.
I got to get to a doctor. You are correct at that.
And he doesn't.
No, I got to do the right thing. You're right. So I agree with that. So all the coaches out there, get to a doctor.
I just think if he would have the grill.
Forget it. He's a movie star.
All right, guys, you're going to go easy, guys. I'll give my.
Yeah, he's a movie star.
Let me fill out my shout outs here. Who else I got? Like I said, my boy Dave Petramali, Joe Bresci. How about that guy?
I just want to tell you, just for the record, it's Petramali.
Thank you, Vinny. I figured Ginzo to a Ginzo. All right, so Dave Petramala. Of course, the head coach at North Carolina. I got to give him a shout out, man. He's up now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's great, Joe.
I hope they have a great year. I'm looking forward.
Bresci's just a really smiley guy. Every time you see him, guy makes you feel warm and everything. He's just a wonderful person. Him and the family. Give a shout out, and then just Timmy Goldstein, and that's it. The Kavanaughs. I like to send Kavanaughs a shepherd's pie. That whole big family. A lot of kids that put food on the table.
Yeah.
Back this era, man. People don't have 5 kids this era, 6 kids. Years ago, we all had 6, 7, 8, 9 kids.
That's true. I'm about 8, 9. Yeah, we had 7, so.
Come on, Vinny, write a big check to the USA League. You're a millionaire now, Vinny. Come on. You're born in Harlem. You got so much money. You can't take it with you. Come on. Just start writing checks, Vinny, everywhere. Be the Goomba, the ultimate Goomba. All right, guys, we love you. It's going to be a great season, man.
We're going to be back on a regular basis. We got to get back on on our regular schedule.
We got a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys looking to come on as guests.
We're gonna get some insight with some coaches. We got to pull.
Seth Tierney, I want to give a shout out to my great friend Seth Tierney.
Yeah,
fucking puts his life into the game.
All these guys. We love them all. We love all these coaches, and we love all these teams, and we hope.
What about Chris Hine? You love him too?
Always.
Yeah.
He hasn't gone to one game in 6 years. The guy writes a check. I love him to death.
Chris was the best.
He's like Jackie Gleason.
Before when we were talking, I didn't say the whole. I only got so far with the crew at Gallagher's. You know, I got to Chris Kane, and we started talking about Cornell lacrosse.
Oh, the big dinner at Gallagher's in Florida.
We had, in addition to the guys I mentioned before, Chris Kane, Mr. G, Smalley, Betcha on that side of the table, Rob Smalley, and then working our way around the other way, we had the great Donnie Borges made an appearance. We had Chris Hine at the head of the table leading the parade. And then we had Vinny Pfeiffer with Maria Pfeiffer. And what's the dog's name? And he had his dog.
Oh, no, Snoopy. He brings a dog. The fucking guy brings a dog. The fucking guy brings a dog that was there. He's barking at the table.
Yeah.
I mean, years ago, the dog was cute. Don't get me wrong. But years ago, I would have stuck a fork in the dog.
Did I miss anybody, Steven? Who else was there? Anybody else?
Was it?
Jeff Goldberg.
Well, we had a few guys cancel on us. We had invited Jeff Goldberg. Darren Lowe's son had he was in a big golf tournament, which I think he won by like 6 strokes. His son's a hell of a golfer. So we got to give a shout out to Carson Lowe for winning that. It would have been good to see Darren, though. And
Darren Lowe, the magician. I never get to see the guy. He's like Inspector Clouseau, you know?
He's like Houdini. He's a Houdini.
And
we didn't get to see Moon.
Right.
Moon, Mysterious Moon. The guy with the mullen.
Well, his son's back at Virginia, healthy. Hopefully he could contribute this year. He's a good little player.
Yeah, he's a nice kid, man.
He's overcoming some serious stuff. The kid had a heart issue, right? Wasn't it a heart issue?
Yeah.
And he's back. God bless him. He's
being healthy as a kid. And
there's not a better time of the year than now. Everybody is 0-0. Everybody has their hopes and their eyes on the prize to beat up the competition and play fair and play right. And this is what's great about it. And we're going to have a great, 12, 14, 15 weeks, whatever it is. And we're going to talk about all of these games, and there's going to be some tremendous games, and teams are going to have their ups and downs. And it doesn't get any better than these next weeks to see how these teams battle through and who rises to the occasion and some other great games. So we wish all of our friends that are the coaches and involved with the different teams, we wish them the best of luck. We'll be looking out and we'll be watching a lot of games. They're all streaming on, many games are streaming on ESPN. So get out and watch them. And we will be back,
Syracuse, bro.
We'll be back to.
Imagine if Cuse wins it. Gary Gay will be the only coach in history to win women's and men's. And as a player. No one's ever done that.
He played as a woman?
Oh, Dad, really, I gotta give you credit.
You just never know with Smalley.
I didn't say it. I said.
You're saying he is a player and he coached women and coached men, is what you're trying to say.
Right. I'm saying he coached women's and he played as a woman.
But he didn't coach as a head coach women to win the championship.
Right.
He won the championships as an assistant at Maryland. He didn't win the women's championship as a head coach.
Wait,
but did he coach? You were close.
Well, what he is trying to do, which would be another guy to do it, because Petro has done it.
Right.
Petro won a national championship, and he won a national championship as a coach. So Gary's won national championships. Now he's got to try to win a national championship as a coach.
And didn't Richie?
Richie Moran did. He won a national championship at Maryland and won as a coach.
So there's we're probably forgetting somebody else too.
Yeah, maybe there's somebody else in there. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised somebody else is in there as a head coach and did it.
But that's rare. That's another rare. That's rare.
Yeah, I don't know if
to be a coach and win a national and a player?
Yeah.
That's all.
Meanwhile, between you, Koff, and me, Koff, Steven's the only. We look like we belong in an ammonia ward or something. We're dropping like flies.
No, you can't go. Yeah, no, I know. We're getting older.
He might be signing off for the last time tonight.
God.
I might be. You never know. Never know in this life.
Well,
I got too much to offer, though, boys. I got too much.
We'll wrap it up. And
all right.
Be ready for next week and see the results. People follow. If you want to follow, join the Apple Podcast or YouTube or Spotify. Spotify's probably the best.
And we got Spallina coming on next time, just so I want to point it.
Yes.
He's supposed to be on. We ran this one quick.
We got a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys have asked. We got to make a schedule, and we got to get these guys because they're busy too, you know. So, but they want to come on.
We got Mr. Schedule.
There's no bigger game in the sport than Joey Spallina.
Look at Smalley. He shows up an hour late. This is the kind of.
That's true. Hey, listen. I went down like Ironside. I was on the pillow, sleeping on the couch.
He's out. I said he's out.
My Lord.
You guys ever sleep on the couch? I remember my mother used to get sick. My mother would be sleeping on the couch, so she, didn't get my father sick. I never thought I'd be on the couch. 50 years later, I'm sleeping on the fucking couch. Excuse me.
Until next week.
All right.
Guys.
Signing off, like he says.